Hey everybody, in today's video, we're deep diving one of the most crucial steps for your website success. I'm talking about how to do an SEO content audit. If you want to improve your website's ranking, traffic, AI mentions, and overall visibility, then this is the guide for you. I'm going to walk you through the exact process that we use with our clients to uncover hidden opportunities for growth. Plus, I've got some special tools and resources to help you out, so stay tuned for those and let's go. Really quickly, let me tell you the difference between an SEO content audit and, say, a technical SEO audit. For a technical SEO audit, typically what will happen is an SEO or digital marketing agency will take your website, plug it into one of the tools that they have, and spit out a really long report with a bunch of information about missing meta descriptions, title tags, broken links, 404s, maybe some page speed type information. And while this can be helpful, what it fails to show you are the existing assets and liabilities that exist on your website in the form of content. In my experience of 15 years being in the industry, if I had to pick between a technical audit and an SEO content audit, I would go with the SEO content audit every single time. When we look at a website, we look at it from the point of view of what content assets do you actually have on your website. Content assets can typically be grouped into a couple of different categories. The first would be your main pages on your site. This would include your homepage, your service pages, any location pages, basically your commercial intent pages where you hope people will go to those pages and buy something from you. Most businesses include these type of pages in their main nav. The second type of content assets you have on your site are any additional pages that aren't listed in that main nav. These could be guides. These could be other additional resources. They could be informational how-tos, listicles. They usually come in the form of blog posts. And these content assets would be more of an informational intent, which makes them more top of the funnel in the sales process. So from a buyer journey perspective, top of funnel content gives value to a reader, teaches them how to do something, and starts their journey of having multiple touch points with your brand and your company until they're ready to purchase, which then leads them to those bottom of the funnel commercial intent pages, those main pages on your site. Content is the backbone of a solid SEO and AI search strategy. Whether you're a local business, a national business, or anything in between, without content on your site to index and provide context for search engines, it's really hard to have a long-standing impact online. So with an SEO content audit, we're going to go through the website and identify the performing and opportunity pages that exist on your site. In addition, we're going to identify the pages that you don't have that you need to have on your site. And from there, we can build a really solid, robust SEO content strategy that takes into account your strengths and your weaknesses, and also where there's opportunity for you to gain market share in your competitors. So that being said, let's dive right into how we do an SEO content audit. And the first thing that we need to do is look at your website and if it has a history of ranking and performance up to this point. Today, I'm going to be using SEMrush, and if you don't have access, I will include a link in the description below where you can sign up for a free trial or get a discounted membership so you can go in and do this step on your audit. Okay, once you have access to SEMrush, the next thing that we need is your website domain. As we go through these different steps, I am going to use a real website that I found, a local business here in Ogden, Utah, where I'm located, to show you an example. So for this, if we head over to Google, so I just wrote in dentist in Ogden. I'm going to go down here to the map pack, and I'm going to pick one of the dentists here because if they're being shown on the map pack, they're doing something right from a local SEO perspective. So I imagine we'll have something to look at on their website that'll give me a better example for this video. So I'm going to click here, maybe the last one on this list, this Wangsgard Family Dental right here. And then I'm just going to go over to their website. Now that I'm at their website, I'm just going to take the URL of their website and I'm going to go over to SEMrush. I'm going to go to this SEO domain overview section right here on the left. And I'm just going to enter in their URL and I'm going to press search. So the first thing I'm going to look for on SEMrush for these guys is something called the authority score. You'll find it right here. And this is kind of an overall encompassing score that SEMrush gives based on multiple factors, content on your website, keywords that you rank for, your backlink profile. It gives you a score 0 out of 100, 100 being the best and 0 being the worst, to give your website kind of a ranking. Now, most websites, especially small businesses, are going to have a pretty low authority score. For this example, I'm looking right here, it's 8. It says low authority, but I find that most local businesses are probably somewhere in the 5 to 30 range, 30 being one of the higher ranges for a local business. And then the 50 to 100 range are usually massive companies with humongous websites doing a lot of revenue per year. So for me, when I go to look at a website, the first thing I look at is that authority score. I like it when it's between the 10 to 30 range. It means Google sees some value in your site and that you have enough site depth and brand mentions across the web that Google knows something about you. And then the next thing I like to look at on this screen, this has to do with your your backlink profile for your website. And as a quick refresher, a backlink is another website on the internet that links back to your website. If you have lots of websites that are linking back to your website, especially linking back using terms like dentist and Ogden, it shows Google that you have authority in that space. That if a lot of websites refer to you, that's going to help you to come up more on search terms. There's kind of two main things to look at with a backlink profile. Number one is the number of links, and the next is the number of referring domains. This means unique websites that link back to you. A lot of times you'll get some of these spammy websites that link back and they'll send like 1,000 links, but it's only one unique domain. So the more unique domains you have linking back to you, the better. And then number two, the overall number of backlinks you have also are just a good indicator that, again, your website is getting out there. People know about you. You have some authority online. My initial takeaways for this site is it's a pretty low authority score. And then also they have a really small backlink profile. 151 backlinks is not very many. Now, the one unique thing is that almost every single one of those backlinks is from a unique referring domain. So that is a good sign. They just don't have a lot of them. So now that we have a pretty solid picture of how authoritative Google thinks your site is, the next thing we're going to want to look at is your organic profile and how many keywords you rank for. So if we go back to SEMrush, if you go over back to the left and go below domain overview, click on this organic keywords. And there's a couple things here that I like to look at. Number one is just from a visual perspective, I like to see this organic keywords trend. So from this graph, I can see they probably started the website somewhere around January of 2019, give or take. That's when they start ranking for some keywords. And you can kind of see here that although it's not a lot of keywords, 10, 20 keywords, it kind of jumps up here in the last year where they're ranking for a couple hundred keywords at some point. And then over here, you can see what they're ranking for right now is 117 different keywords in the top 100 positions in Google. That doesn't mean that they're all ranking in the top 3 or the top 10. They're just somewhere in the top 100. SEMrush also gives an estimate of traffic. I like this from a trend perspective, but this is typically way off from what your Google Analytics is. I have some tools to help you compare your actual traffic on Google Analytics versus the keywords that you're ranking for in SEMrush that we'll get to in just a little bit. But overall, I like this graph. I like that there's a trend of ranking. I like that it's ranked for keywords all along the way. What's really concerning is if I go to a website that I know isn't brand new and they don't have a track record of ranking, or maybe they rank for a handful of keywords one month, it falls off the next month, it comes back up the next month. That's really concerning to me. That's where a technical SEO audit might come in. If you're not ranking for anything at all and you have a website with content on it, there's probably something wrong with your website. And if I'm being honest, if your site isn't ranking very well and you have a lot of content, in my experience, rather than pay a lot of money for a technical SEO audit and going in and trying to fix individual little things, it's almost always better to start brand new with a new website built on WordPress or another platform that's SEO friendly. And in most instances, that's going to be a faster, quicker, and sometimes cheaper option than to try and pay someone to come and fix what's broken on your site. So if you end up doing this audit for yourself and you find that you're kind of in Google hell, you might want to consider just starting over brand new. So back to our report. For this website, that's not the case. They show ranking. Most websites that we look at are this way. And I love to see websites that at least have between 100 to 500 keywords that they're ranking for and a domain authority of about 10 or above with maybe a couple thousand backlinks and about 10 to 20% of those backlinks coming from unique referring domains. Now, the last thing that I'll look at while we're here is it will give you a list of your top keywords for the site. So you can see right here, here's just some of the top keywords by traffic percentage. And their number one overall keyword is Wainsgard Family Dental. And they rank number one, which is great. You want to win your branded terms. That shows that you at least have good branding on your website. It also, with 110 volume searches a month for this term, these guys have built some pretty good branding, whether it's through word of mouth or other marketing avenues. There are people searching for this and they are winning their own name. That's important. And the next thing that's pretty exciting is they also have ranking for some really relevant keywords, North Ogden Dentist. So to be in the top 10 for that term of the city that you're located in from a local SEO perspective is extremely important. Now, we'd like to get this up a little bit higher in the top 5, but if he's got a spot in the map pack, which we know that he does because that's how I found him, it shows that they are doing something right here. And as one more, they have more of an informational top of funnel type keyword. What is the best toothbrush electric? I would imagine they probably have a blog that talks about this, which also is a good sign if they have top of funnel content that's ranking. Again, we're going to get into that in the next step. Now, the last thing that you might do while you're logged into SEMrush right now is you might do a quick competitor analysis. I like to take a website and stack it up against about 3 to 5 of their competitors and just see how they stand in relation to domain authority, total number of backlinks, unique referring domains, total number of keywords, and traffic. SEMrush doesn't have a tool to show you all of those all at once, so you might have to go one by one to find domain authority, and then traffic and keywords. But they do have a really cool comparison tool when it comes to backlinks. So if we go back to SEMrush, if you just scroll down here on the left-hand side, click on backlinks, you want to put in your main URL. And then once you do, it'll take you to this screen right here where you'll be able to put in up to 3 additional competitors. So you can put it right here and you can add in 1, 2, 3, 4 competitors. You know, if it were me, I would go back to Waynesguard Dental and I would go find the other dentists that are coming up maybe in the map pack as well. And then type them in. Then what it'll do, it'll show you the unique referring domains, the total number of backlinks, and also its estimated traffic. You'll have a really nice snapshot to see if you're within striking distance of going after those competitors. And now that we've looked at the track record of ranking, your website history, and a snapshot of how you're doing on some of those key metrics, the next step in an SEO content audit is we're going to go identify your performing pages and your opportunity pages on your site. In this section, we're going to talk about the pages on your site that are performing well and which ones have the potential to perform even better than they are. What happens all too often is businesses spend a lot of time and money creating content for their websites, but if that content doesn't perform for one of the 25 keywords they've already identified that they want to rank for, they just forget about that piece of content. And what ends up happening is a lot of that content that you put up on your website, it may not have been ranking for the keyword you intended it for, but it ranked for something else. And it might be something else that's closely related to what you do, but it just doesn't come up on the radar because you're only tracking your content in relation to your top 25 keywords. So when I do a content audit, I want to look at all the content that's ranking on your website, no matter what the keyword is. So I created a tool where we can plug in the keywords that you're ranking for and identify which pages on your site are bringing in those keywords. And I'm going to give you access to that tool as well. You can find it in a link in the description below, but you are going to need that tool in order to do this next step. So let's go back to SEMrush because there's one more report that we're going to need that we're going to merge with this new tool. Okay, we're back in SEMrush. Go back to this organic keyword section on the left. And what you're going to do is go down to this top keywords. Again, we looked at this for a second, but you can also view all the keywords here. And once it loads all the way, you're just going to scroll down here to this export function right here. Click on this. And what you can do is you can actually export up to 30,000 keywords per website. This covers most small business websites that we work with. If you're a larger business that has 30,000 plus keywords ranking, first of all, great job. Second of all, you're going to need a little bit of extra customization doing this part. So you might want to contact us and we'll just do it for you. But for everybody else, this will work. You're just going to click all, and it'll give you the total number of keywords that you rank for. And you're going to hit Excel, and it's just going to download this in an Excel format for you. Once that downloads, just go ahead and click on that. It's going to bring up all the keywords that your website ranks for and all the pages that rank for those exact keywords. It'll also give you the position that they rank for, the search volume, some of that additional data. And what you're going to do on this step is you're just going to take the entire sheet, you're going to copy it, Control C, and then you're going to go into this new tool that I've created, and you're going to go down here to this tab called Keyword Report. So once you get to this page, you're just going to paste it in, Control V. So from here, I have a couple other sections I like to look at. One, I have an overview, right? It's going to give me the estimated traffic that we already saw on the SEMrush dashboard, total number of keywords ranking. Now, another piece that I really like when I do this audit is I have broken this down into the number of keywords that fall within the top 3 rankings on Google, the top 4 to 10, the top 11 to 20, 21 to 50, and then 51 to 100. And what I'm also giving you here is the average keyword difficulty. And this is just a score of competitiveness. SEMrush gives every keyword term a competitive difficulty from 0 to 100. Again, 100 being the most competitive, 0 being the least competitive. You can kind of see the average keyword difficulty of keywords that you're already winning. So in this instance, in the top 3, top 10, they're ranking for keywords that have a difficulty of about 38 to 41. So when you're done with this SEO content audit and you move on to a keyword research phase, you're only going to want to target keywords for your website that have a difficulty of between 30 and 40. We call this the arena that your website can play in. So instead of going after really, really competitive keywords, this website needs to go after some pretty low competitive keywords to win. We're going to move on to the next tab. So the first tab that we want to look at is the tab that I have labeled performing pages. And for simplicity's sake, I'm categorizing performing pages as any page that ranks for keywords that come up in the top 10. I know there's a ton of other metrics we could look at, but from a keyword content perspective, I'm just looking to make sure A, you rank for keywords, and B, you rank for those keywords in the top 10. And then my opportunity pages are any pages on your website that rank for any keywords at all. They just don't rank for any in the top 10, which means they aren't coming up high enough that they're actually going to get clicks or traffic or AI citations. So in this performing pages section, you can see it's pretty slim. There's only 2 pages here. What's interesting is the main URL for your domain typically comes up number 1 that has the most keywords. But in this instance, the blog ranks for most of their keywords. You can see over here here I have the total number of keywords that are ranking for this URL. And then I also have it split up in those categories of 50 to 100, 21 to 50. Again, we really care about these ones that are in the top 10. And over on this far right side, I can click on this drop down. It'll just give me a list of the pages that are currently here. So I can click on this blog post and see what we're actually ranking for. So this blog, here's this best electric toothbrush. It's coming up number 1. There's not a lot of search volume. If this guy sells an electric toothbrush that's rechargeable, this would be a great page to put it on. Or if he doesn't already sell that, maybe he should, right? He's coming up number 1. So what I really love about seeing a blog post ranking that high on his performing pages, it tells me that Google has already rewarded his blog and given it some ranking, which gives me confidence that we can build more top of funnel content, bring in more branding, and potentially boost these other main pages on his site. And that's where the power of seeing where you're already getting ranking on your site can help you know where to invest your time and money when it comes to building out more content. Let's go back to this page really quickly on performing. Let's click on his main URL and see what he's ranking for. This is a fantastic term, but some of these are really great. This one's not so much. Wainsgard, it has his name, but this is actually a grocery store as well. So that one doesn't benefit him all that much. These Ogden family ones, North Ogden Dental, outside of the fact that there's not very many performing pages here, I like that the 2 that he has show that he can rank for both main pages and supporting pages. Okay, now let's move on over to the opportunity pages tab. So for this page, he's also again ranking for 2 pages. He's got a new patients, then also his about us page. There's only 3 keywords ranking total here. His opportunities pages is pretty weak. So let me give you one other example of another website we recently did an audit for to give you an example of why this could be powerful. Well, here's an HVAC contractor that we did an audit for. So after getting his keyword list from SEMrush and plugging it in here, he's got about 24 opportunity pages and some rank for quite a few keywords. Again, just not high enough to get traffic. So if we go to this top one, he's got this positivecontractor.com/plumbing. And here's the list of keywords that he's already ranking for that he may not actually be targeting, but maybe he should. So for instance, emergency plumber Irvine. He is located in Irvine, California. But what he isn't targeting is emergency plumber. But there is search volume for emergency plumber Irvine between even these 4 keywords. You're looking at about 240 visits a month. So what that tells me is that either A, go back into this page and re-optimize it around plumbers in Irvine, having confidence that he is ranking for those terms, and potentially with some additional content optimization, he could start to rank higher for those things. Or he could reassess that he's ranking better for emergency plumber type keywords and change this page to an emergency plumber in Irvine type page. And then re-optimize that page with keywords in the headings, in the image alt text, and really maximize that page for this new term that he realizes he's ranking for. So this is where opportunity pages become really powerful, because now you're taking into account all the pages that rank, because ranking is hard enough as it is. So rather than starting fresh every single time you make a new piece of content, go back to the content that's already showing some signs of performance and make the most out of it. That's low-hanging fruit. The truth is that it's much easier to improve content that's already showing signs of life and starting over fresh every single time. So the key is to track all of the content that you create and focus on building up what's already working rather than trying to hit a home run over and over again. And remember, ranking for branded terms and main service pages is essential. But if we see a business blog ranking, that's a gold mine. Blogs can drive continuous traffic to your website, as well as help other pages on your website get more authority. Now it's time to do a website structure review, which will give us insights into why pages are ranking or why they're not and what's being missed. Website structure is where many businesses miss the mark. Is your navigation clear and easy to follow? Do you have dedicated pages for main services on your website? If you're a local business and you service individual areas, do you have location pages on your site for each of those areas? Or are you a national company that services different industries? Do you have individual industry pages on your site located in the main nav? And then lastly, is your blog easily accessible? Let's go take a look. We've laid the groundwork, but now it's time to finally go to these pages. And having gathered that data, it gives us a lot more insight into either why something is working or why it is not. So one thing we did notice on that report, I'll go back to it really quickly, is the homepage, while it is performing and it has about 20 keywords, it's not the most ranked page on the site, which is a little bit atypical. If you're not ranking for much on your homepage, it's because it's usually pretty light on content. And a quick look at this page, they have their main heading, which is their page title. It's also missing a location. It probably should say something like Ogden or North Ogden, but they do have at least general and special care dentistry. And then they do have some information about the doctors. There's not very much. There's not a bio or anything, but it does have his name, which again reinforces Wainsgard Family Dental. And then they have this little section right here, which is really good. It talks about North Ogden. Wainsgard Family Dental has those two terms very close. posts, talks about a beautiful smile. So there's a little bit of context right here as far as content is concerned. If we keep going down, they have their services. This is really good. I love these sorts of sections on sites where they talk about their services. I think they could have a little bit more here, but they do have dental exams, extractions. Where they're a local business, this would also be a fantastic place to get more instances of dental exams in Ogden extractions, dental implants in Ogden. You'd want to include some of those terms here to just make sure there's really good context that you do these services in these places. But outside of these two sections, there's not a ton of content, although they do have an FAQ section, which this is really smart. This is a really big thing with AI search right now, is having FAQs on your main pages. So I'm actually really happy to see this. There's a lot of content here. I'm surprised though with all these FAQs they have here that they're not ranking for more of these services. And again, they don't have a lot of references to where they operate, right? If you're in Ogden, it doesn't do you really any good to have a lot of content about cosmetic dentist services if somebody in California finds you, right? You need to make this all about cosmetic dental services or family dentistry services in Ogden, Utah, or wherever you're servicing clients. They're missing a lot of location context. I would probably include an additional section on here about locations like areas we serve and list all the cities close to Ogden where people might still come into your practice. But overall, it has the bones, right? And that kind of reflects that they are ranking, they are doing okay. Now, the next section we want to go to is these service pages, okay? If you go to their main nav, they do have this set up as if they had a page to go to for general services, restorative, oral surgery, financing, etc. But if I go to any of these pages, it's taking me right to their main services page, which at first glance doesn't tell me anything about these services. If we do click on these, instead of bringing it to a new page, it is bringing up a pop-up that has some information here, but it's not branded. Again, it doesn't talk about where they offer this. And where it's behind a pop-up, that's kind of a bad format for being indexed or being cited by LLMs. It would be much better to have this services page, have a general dental services in Ogden, Utah section where they give maybe 25 to 50 word examples of what each of these things are, kind of like what they had on their homepage. And then this should be a link that takes them to a dedicated page and talks about dental exams and cleanings in Ogden, Utah. And then from there, you'd have all sorts of content about the dental exams and cleanings and how Wingsgard Family Dental does it this way, get some branding in there, get some location-based keywords in there. So that's a really huge opportunity for this website, is going through making individual pages for each of your services. Now, these guys apparently have a ton of services. This could be tightened up through keyword research. You could find out which of these terms actually get search volume in Northern Utah or in the Ogden area. Start with those pages and kind of work your way down. But it would only benefit them to have individual pages on their site that talk about dental exams in Ogden, Utah, oral sedation in Ogden, Utah, and it would give Google a ton to work with when it comes to people typing that in and you coming up on the map pack or in the search results. If we go back and look at the top, there's another section that he's also missing that could be a huge benefit, is in addition to having these service pages that talk about, hey, we do dental exams and we do it in Ogden and Roy and Layton, some of the surrounding cities, they could also benefit from a locations section on their top nav that has maybe their top 3 to 5 cities that they do these services in. And from there, you'd have a family dental services in Ogden, Utah, or family dental practice in North Ogden, family dental practice in Layton, right? And that will go a long way to build, again, that context to Google and AI search engines that you do these services in these areas. So after looking at this website, again, the structure, the skeleton is here. It's just really thin on content. We have a homepage that has maybe all of 150 to 200 words max. We have a single services page with some interesting pop-out design choices. We don't have any location pages. And then we have a light about us page. And then lastly, they do have this, which I think is great. They have a blog. Okay. They have the blog in the top nav. That tells Google that you place importance on your blog. So when you use your blog as a content marketing vehicle and link to other pages on your website, it attributes more weight through that internal linking structure. So this brings us to our very last step of an SEO content audit, which is a review of your blog. As a business, are you strategically using your blog to drive SEO results? Or is it just a newsletter dumping ground? A well-optimized blog can be one of your best SEO assets on your website. So you need to make sure you're A, talking about the right things in your blog, B, targeting the right keywords, and then C, that you're optimizing it around those keywords correctly. So let's go take a look at this blog and see how it's doing. Okay, if we take a quick look at his blog, at first glance, this looks pretty good. He has posts from a few days ago and then maybe once a week for the last couple of months, which is a good practice. Any company that we work with, we try to encourage them to blog at least 1 to 2 times a week if they can manage. Now with blogging, it can take time to see results. You can see results within a month, but it usually takes about 90 days to start seeing if anything's going to show up as far as ranking for keywords. So I'm not going to look at any of his most recent blog posts because they're probably too new. So let's go back a couple of months, maybe to this post right here at the the 1st of October. And before I click in, this title's actually pretty good. It talks about top-notch dental care in North Ogden. He has a keyword in there, dental care in North Ogden. But let's go into this blog and just see what's going on. Now, before we get into this, just remember, he was only ranking for a single blog post on his entire website. It was that electric toothbrushes one. So it's not the one that we're looking at. So let's take a quick look and see if we can figure out why. So if I look through this page, first of all, it's not very visually appealing, which isn't the worst thing in the world. It could benefit definitely from some white space between some of the headings and sections. But the first thing you'll notice is it's littered with bolded words, tons of bullet points. And again, more bullet points. This is like a dead ringer for AI content. Now, I'm a huge proponent of using AI strategically, even to help write your content, get you a nice skeleton. But this is pretty clear that whoever did this probably just took AI content from ChatGPT and threw it up here on the website. But there is a strategy to using a right template, to build the right skeleton using AI, feeding it information that's unique to your business or your own point of view, and then adding images and videos and other things to help give it additional value once you've posted it. So this blog is missing almost all of that. And because it was probably generated through AI, it makes it the same as every other dentistry blog out there. And Google sees basically no value in this. So while I applaud the attempt to blog here, it's not actually doing any good for their business. Please avoid using only AI generated content in your blog. Google can spot it a mile away. Make sure your blogs are keyword driven, well optimized, and that they are informative, engaging, and well structured. And that leads us to our last step on our SEO content audit, which if you're a local business really matters. And that's considering your GBP profile. Now, your GBP or Google Business Profile is still important if you're a national facing business, but it is absolutely crucial if you're a local business. So really quickly, let's head on over and take a look at that Google Business Profile and see what's working and not working for this business. The first thing you want to do with a Google Business Profile, you want to make sure it's filled out, that they have, information about the business, that they have images. These guys have like 84 images on here. They've done a really good job filling this out. And I imagine because of how well this is filled out, this is one of the main reasons that they're coming up in the map pack, even if they're not coming up in some of the other results down below. So again, this is why a Google Business Profile is so important for a local business. Is you can sometimes bypass other businesses just by updating your Google Business Profile. Now, if these guys had a really strong site structure in addition to their Google Business Profile, we might be able to move them up even higher. But again, going through this, they have their address, their phone number, they have their hours of operation. They have a little section down here that talks about who they are. They're missing a few things where they could put in additional locations in this description. And then the other thing that they're doing really well is they're posting within their GBP updates section. You can actually go in and add updates to your GBP. So if you were to write a blog post, you could link to your blog post here, or like they're doing, they're just using updates to share reviews and also get some really good local context about everyone in North Ogden. Here's a dentist, right? They're using those words in these places, in these updates to help put it fresh in Google's algorithm that they do these things. The last and really important thing that they have going for them. So they're 5 stars with 417 reviews. That is probably helping them a ton right now, is the number of reviews, how good the reviews are. So they obviously have a really good system in place for asking for reviews, which can go a really long way when it comes to local SEO. So props to these guys. Their GBP is actually pretty fantastic, maybe a couple minor tweaks, but they're doing pretty good on that end. All right, that's it. Now that you've got a solid understanding of where your site stands, you're in a great position to start building out a really robust SEO content strategy. And if you still don't quite feel confident to do this process with your own website, that's okay. We can do it for you. Head on over to bkacontent.com where you can sign up for a free site audit, and we will do this exact process for you and give you your biggest content opportunities to look forward to. But if you prefer to take the DIY route, we'd love for you to come join our school community. Inside, we share the latest SEO tips and tricks for both traditional and AI search. You'll get access to courses, peer support, and if you're looking for more, we offer a premium membership that gives you direct access to our strategists through a weekly Q&A, and you'll also gain access to all of our master courses that relate to local SEO, YouTube content marketing, content strategy, and much more. So whether you're ready to let us help you or you just want to level up your SEO game yourself, click on the links in the description below to get started. If you like that video, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow our channel so you'll be notified when we put out other videos like this. And if you're serious about upping your SEO content game, then watch this video right here where we go over how to effectively use ChatGPT and other AI tools to help you write content for your blog or your website pages. We'll see you over there.